What's up, guys? I hope you guys had an amazing day. We shorted the top on the SPY. We closed out our shorts and now we're long XOP. So in today's video, I'm going to explain what my thought process is for the overall market, what I think can end up happening next on the overall market. We're going to take a look at the dollar, the various different indices, the bonds, and the VIX. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with the video. All right, number one, taking a look at the dollar. I was saying yesterday in yesterday's video that I thought the dollar was going to have another green day today, and we did. And basically when we are green on the dollar, basically if the dollar goes up, then the stock market falls. So that's exactly what ended up happening today. And that's another reason why I was bearish yesterday, because I saw the strength out of the dollar. All right. So there's that for the dollar. We could quickly take a look at the VIX. The VIX basically came to the 20 exponential moving average, obviously was very overextended to the downside, and we had a big pop. And obviously we know that if the VIX goes up, then that means that the stock market is falling. So we clearly see strength out of the VIX, and we saw some strength out of the dollar. But I'm not entirely sure if the strength out of the dollar can continue, right? So now we're getting close to a level of resistance here on the dollar at around 106. So essentially, it was much easier to be bullish on the dollar during these 2 days. But as we approach levels of resistance, it becomes a bit more difficult. So that, and also we need to keep an eye on this upper level of the Bollinger Band. It's sharply falling. So once these two Bollinger Bands ends up tightening up, a big move can end up happening. So we keep that in mind as well. But overall, I don't know how much more room there is on the dollar. There could probably be another day where we break a bit above 106. So tomorrow can also be a green day. But after that, then I'm not entirely sure. But tomorrow we could continue up into this momentum to the upside on the dollar. Very easily, we could break above 106 and retest 106.20. So once that happens, then heading into the end of the week, that's when the market is going to need to really make a decision in terms of, are we just going to continue capitulating to the downside, or are we going to get a bit of a bounce? And currently the dollar, it's starting to show signs of weakness, but there could be another green day, similar to what happened here. And similar to what happened here, a lot of the times the dollar does continue bouncing up for multiple days. So there's that for now for the dollar and the VIX. The bonds are also showing some strength. Ideally, what we want to see is we want to see closes above the recent highs, and especially above 130.30. And but currently, this is a strong candle for the bonds. Even though the market fell very, very sharply, the bonds are showing a lot of strength. So that could be pretty interesting for the stock market, because we know that if the bonds are doing strong and the bonds are doing well, then that means that, you know, the stock market should also be doing well. But recently what we've been seeing out of the bonds is that there's been basically a 1 or 2 day lag usually. So we'll see. We'll just monitor how this goes. But right now, this is a very, very green day for the bonds so far. And we need to see how well that gets translated into the stock market moving forward. So now when taking a look at the SPY, we can clearly see that we finally closed below definitively on the falling wedge pattern. But I was saying how as we got closer to levels of support here at 392, 393, essentially the market ended up bouncing. And now we're in the thought process that the market could get a bit of a bounce back up to 395 to 396 in the short term on the SPY. But of course, that is not a 100% guarantee, because if the dollar ends up continuing upwards, then the SPY can have another red day tomorrow, right? So that's basically the premise here. The SPY can end up having another red day tomorrow if the dollar continues moving up. And there's about a 60% chance that the dollar should continue up higher tomorrow. So the reason why I essentially went long on the XOP is because, number one, the crude oil had a very, very big red day today, and it's getting close to the lower level of the Bollinger Bands, right? But now XOP was pretty interesting to me because we opened and closed outside of the bands. I bought a very light position, 140 calls, expiring December 30th. And so now, basically, if the dollar ends up having another green day tomorrow, that means that XOP is going to fall even more. And then it would be very, very overextended to the downside in terms of being outside of the Bollinger Band. Of course, the Bollinger Band trade does not work for things other than the SPY, the QQQ, the IWM, or like large trillion-dollar companies, right? So, otherwise I would be much more aggressive, but at times you can see silver trading very far overextended to the up or the downside, things like that. But it's not a guarantee that you could see other stocks as well, but it's not a guarantee that they'll revert back to their mean. So, but in general, when looking at the XOP, they don't necessarily have more. They don't ever have. There's never been like an instance that there's been more than 2 days completely trading outside of the lower level of the Bollinger Band. So my thought process is if the dollar continues going up higher tomorrow, that I was initially going to scale. I was going to average in again tomorrow as the dollar rose and as the SPY fell. So yeah, if the SPY ends up retesting 388 to 390 tomorrow, XOP would end up gapping down, and we would be very, very far outside of the Bollinger Band. And yeah, that's, you go long when there's a lot of weakness or when you're playing into momentum. So December 30th calls, I think it's worth it taking a stab to the upside. We already shorted the market really, really well. So yeah, let's see how that goes. But yeah, there's that for my thought process for the video and the plays and everything like that. I hope you guys had an amazing day. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We made a lot of money today on the various different plays we made. So I'm hopeful that you guys partook in those as well. And yeah, take care. See you guys tomorrow.